This is the OnePlus Nord 4. The Nord 4 is essentially a mid to high-end version of OnePlus's range, and for that you get some crazy interesting specs. Let's talk about those actually. 5500 mAh battery, massive, biggest one they've ever done. 100 watts of wire charging. You get this incredibly cool, and I gotta say, nice to see it back, aluminium finish on the back. And then you get a 50 megapixel main camera as well as an 8 megapixel ultra wide camera. Now the Nord 4 costs around $450. There's tons of promotions going on at the moment where you can get it for a lot less and you get free earbuds, etc, etc. But the question, as we always ask, is we know what it is, but is it any good? Let's find out. This is the Flexy Spot E7 Pro, a standing desk that can support up to 150 kilograms of weight, which is incredible and has a ton of features. Firstly though, we wanted to touch on some of the health benefits. So you get improved circulation in the body for better blood flow, reduces back pain, boosts energy levels, and enhances focus and movement. Now those are some of the key features that stood out to us for a standing desk. However, on screen you'll see there are a bunch more. Now moving on from that, let's talk about some of the features of the Flexy Spot E7 Pro. The build, as you can tell, is great. You get memory functions as well, which allow you to set 1, 2, 3, and 4. So then you can choose and use the desk as and when you please, as well as USB charging and a very unique, as you can see underneath here, cable management system. So the Flexy Spot E7 Pro is actually going to be on offer as you watch this video on the 19th of August 2024 and will be 50% off. Yes, 50, which is incredible. So we would highly recommend checking the link in description, clicking that, and it'll take you straight to the site. 19th of August, the Flexy Spot E7 Pro is 50% off. Now, back to the video. So first of all, let's talk about the cameras on the Nord 4. This tends to be the main focus for pretty much every smartphone. 50 megapixel wide, 8 megapixel ultra wide, 16 megapixel on the front. Does the triple camera array. Now, let's talk about the output. I will preface this as these photos are running through that getting a night sight or nighttime photo or video or a portrait photo or video it takes a lot of work. I'll say that there's a lot of shooting, deleting this, not as point and click as you would have on something like a Pixel 8a, which I would consider probably its nearest rival, roughly around the £500 mark. But let's talk about the photos in general. Generally speaking, performance is good. There's no optical or electronic image stabilization here, and you do get some weird artifacting on the ultra wide camera, but generally speaking, photos in general are pretty good. Wide, ultra wide, on the zooms, all fine, all up to date as you'd expect with a 50 megapixel main camera. And then night mode is a little bit aggressive, but again, as we mentioned earlier, does take a lot of work to get the right photo. It either does nothing and gives you just a black image with a little bit of an outline, or you get an overly brightened image. Moving on from that to video, again, performance is adequate, just as you would expect. It's not going to blow you away, but it's more than enough. In fact, I'd probably say at this price point, it's not a great performer. The camera isn't a plus on this phone in particular. I would say something like the Pixel 8a, which we'll link in our description below, is a far better camera performance in terms of photos and video. So let's talk performance of the Nord 4. It's powered by Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 3. My God, 12 gig of RAM, 512 gigabytes of storage in this particular spec, which is sick. I will say this is the world's first phone to get that 7 Plus Gen 3 processor. Now, in terms of general day-to-day use, your browsing, the OS, etc., it runs very, very, very well. In our experience, there's been little to no slowdown at all. I tried to replicate it on camera, but couldn't. There is a little bit of time where you're scrolling and it feels like it's 120 Hz, and then you could feel the drop off to 60 Hz. That's probably the only performance issue we've actually seen. If we move on from that into things like watching video, here, again, color reproduction on the screen and the way it handles its graphics, etc., again, very, very good. Again, one proviso I will preface though is there were times when we were recording that B-roll to showcase the quality of the video that it would not let you zoom in to make the screen full on a YouTube video, where you get that 1.5 times zoom. It would not let me. I had to actually exit completely out, full shut it, then go back in, and then it allowed me to do it, which is really annoying, but again, maybe just a software quirk. Moving on from that, gaming, Need for Speed, again, runs very, very well. Graphically, it actually looks sick, to be honest. No slowdowns here at all. No additional boosts in terms of game mode added on. It just kind of manages it itself, but if you wanted to, you can go in and check for things like frame rate and adjust your game modes as well to make it so that you don't get any notifications, etc. So in terms of performance, the Nord 4, besides a few tiny sort of issues, I would say more software related than hardware related, performs very, very well. And now the last thing we wanted to discuss in this review is actually what we were most impressed by, and that's the design of the Nord 4. So let's quickly just pop into the phone here, and I want to quickly show you the symmetrical bezels that you get. So if you open the camera app, you actually get really nice thin bezels all the way around, which is sick. And then the feel in the hand, yes, it's slippery, but this aluminium finish on the back, as well as the frame itself, this top bit here is glass, feels incredible. This does feel like a phone that should cost probably about $700 to $800 or pounds, but doesn't, as we said earlier, comes in at around $450. A quick device walkthrough. You get an IR blaster on the front. On the right hand side, you've got your classic alert slider from OnePlus, very unique. On the other side, volume up, down, power button, and on the bottom, you've got your USB-C lead connector, as well as your bottom firing speaker. So in terms of design, this is probably one of the nicest phones we've handled in a very, very long time. That feel, you do lose out on wireless charging, of course, because it's aluminium, does give it a really high-end premium finish. So it's a lot to reflect on the Nord 4. In terms of a device itself, it's performing as you'd expect, besides a few quirks with the camera, as well as OS that we mentioned. Again, something I feel would be more fixable in a software update. Now, great segue in terms of software updates. You get 6 years of security updates and 4 years worth of software updates on the Nord 4. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think I am, but that is very, very impressive considering almost very recently for something like the CE4 Lite, which you reviewed, it was 2 and 3 years, I believe, on that model. So to see the investment up to 6 years is really, really good. Other downsides, I would say that although it supports 100 watts of wired charging, you don't actually get a charger in the box at all, categorically. In fact, you'd have to fork out 35 to 50-ish pounds to be able to get a 100-watt charging brick that's compatible with the Nord 4, which is a shame. As we mentioned again earlier, no wireless charging, and then this is IP65 water resistant, not IP68 like a lot of other brands are, such as the Pixel 8a. But where are the wins? I would say, generally speaking, build quality is the biggest win when it comes to the Nord 4. Unique in its category in that it has that aluminium frame and design that no one else has, essentially. It crushes the Pixel 8 in terms of charging speeds, as well as in terms of battery life, which again at 5500 mAh is far bigger than a Pixel 8a. In general though, I would say the Nord 4 is a return for OnePlus to go back to sort of what made them really, really great and intriguing. Long may it live that these phones continue to come out in terms of look, design and feel in the same way. That's our review of the OnePlus Nord 4. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, as always, we out.